Want to whine a little bit about the 7800?
Yep, sounds good.
Commence to whining.
I don't know if we did an official skip it, list it, buy it on this, but I am going to do an official bitch about it because Atari sent everybody these super cool Atari 7800 plus box sets. And as you can see by our lack of props, Kelly and I didn't get one of these. Kelly, what are your feelings about this?
As the leading Atari token owner in the United States,
That's right.
um, I'm a little disappointed, to say the least. Um, it's wrong. I mean, we'd even be willing to share one, um, but it's a wound that probably will not heal quickly.
Yeah, and what makes it worse too is just how awesome the box looks. So you
It
can watch any of the many videos that are out there that don't include us, people who got these really cool review units, and this cool sort of gatefold case that has the system in there, and then 8 games with 4 on each side of the opening arms of this loving, warm embrace of Atari that we'll never know.
many of which hadn't done multiple shows on the Atari 7800 plus, speaking glowingly about the Atari 50th anniversary edition, um, doing everything humanly possible to promote Atari and the 7800 plus. And we get stiffed. So not
Thanks,
cool.
Atari.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It does.
Well,
It does look good.
does I mean I'll so putting aside our obviously deeply hurt feelings, taking a look at everything, how does it look to you?
So when we've talked a little bit about it before, and so maybe this whole thing's on me because of my coolness towards the 7800 plus, at least on the angle of and it spilled over the 2600 plus. I have an OG Telegames Sears Atari 2600 that is just plugging away still. And so I was like, I don't really need the 2600 plus. And then the 7800 came, which would play both 2600 and 7800 cartridges. Um, but I don't have a lot of physical 7800 cartridges. So I'm like, so it's just, I mean, it looks like a great system. I mean, uh, if I had even the slightest need for that, I would definitely have it super high on my list to get. But I mean, it looks outstanding. It looks like the controllers are wireless, which is really, really cool. It also looks like they, thankfully diverted from what the 7800's original joystick was to a more reasonable model. I think that's fair to say. Um, Not that that'd be hard to do. And so, I mean, it looks outstanding. And then to get, again, the VIP set, 8 games, pretty cool. But, you've mentioned before, there's kind of that burgeoning market of the homebrew folks and all that too, is that, not only are you going to be able to do the classic stuff, but there's new stuff coming out for 7800. So I think it's a great looking system. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it looks good. So my introduction to 7800, I never played a 7800 when I was younger. I didn't know anybody who had one. 2600 was very much all around. Like my dad and most of his friends still had their 2600s. So even though it was outdated compared to my NES at the time, I still liked playing Atari 2600. I can remember spending quite a bit of time, particularly on Yars Revenge, playing a lot of that. I've always enjoyed 2600, even though it was, a generation console wise, a generation before when I got into consoles. It was still very much a part of my gaming experience growing up. 7800, I guess I knew it existed, but I never played any of the games, never saw anybody had one. And then it kind of all came at once for me, because I got the Atari Fight Stick, which of course has some 7800 stuff on there. So that was a big introduction. Right around that same time, I got the Atari collection, the first Atari collection for Evergate, and that had a couple of 7800 games on there as well, and both of which had Ninja Golf on there, which is quickly become one of my favorite games. I even purchased a physical copy of it for no need because I can play it on multiple devices now. I just really wanted a physical copy to have up on my shelf because I absolutely love this game. So, but there's a bunch of really good 7800 games that I found through these collections and things. Now, again, do I need this system when I can play them 20 other ways? No. But I do think aesthetically, I really, really like the look of the 7800, that sort of metallic strip across it. And to Kelly's point too, I also now have an Atari, original Atari 2600 so that I can play the movie carts on there. I have the Vader edition, so it's all black, looks really nice. But I still aesthetically like the look of this. And I really wanted a 2600 plus, so this is kind of checking multiple boxes for me. So now I have that 7800 look when I get it. Spoiler alert, it's a buy it. I'll have that 7800 look when I get it. I really like the wireless controller idea and the controllers themselves, the kind of layout of the keypad on there. Apparently, from a couple of things I've read, that was released as a 7800 controller. It was just extremely rare. So this is like an obscure 7800 controller that they decided to latch onto for this. But it looks pretty good. And I don't know if you noticed, there's a little joystick on top of the D-pad that's removable. I don't know if you remember, but that I had PC controllers, and I remember friends having different models of them too, where that's how the PC controllers worked. They had a D-pad, but you had a little joystick you could screw on or take off of it. So I remember a lot of different models of PC controllers had that because we all had different PCs and different joystick brands. So it wasn't just one. This was, I guess, fairly common that I had seen those. So it puts me in mind of that too, which I like again aesthetically. Really, though, what interests me in this is the homebrew stuff because again, I can get ROMs of every game, and for the few things like Ninja Golf that I really want to have a physical cartridge of, I can. But being able to support the homebrew games when there's a bunch of 7800 stuff coming out now, that's really cool, I think. And that's one of the main things, especially moving forward, limited space. I bought most of the games that I wanted to have physical cartridges of. I have now, either because I still had them or if I lost them along the way, traded them in, whatever it was. I picked most of those up again. There's really only still a couple that I'm on the hunt for. But otherwise, I have most of what I would want because I do have so many options to play most of these games. So for me, it's more about, for any of these cartridge based systems, it's more about supporting indie and homebrew stuff now because I really want to do that. Plus, it'll give us fun stuff to talk about on here. So, and the pack in game, and this comes with a pack in game, is a game that was initially a homebrew game. Bentley Bear's Crystal Castles. Bentley Bear was a Atari character, appeared in a couple of games, and then this homebrew game came out as a sequel to the original Crystal Castle. And it was so popular that Atari reached out to the person who made it to make it the official pack-in game for this. And I think that's really cool as well. That Atari is reaching out to these kind of indie developers and making their games official for it.
Yeah, there's only one thing more Atari could do to be cool, and that's to show a little love to Bog Panda. But
You hear that, Atari?
yeah, we know they're listening.
We know you're out there,
Yeah.
Atari, watching.
Yeah, so do we do the official skip it listed buy it on this show, or do we kind of let our bitterness fade and dedicate a show down the road where we talk about it? I'm open to either path.
It's you're in charge of the editing, so I say we can do it, and then you make the call, the final call in the edit.
Okay. Um, so I'm going to be a list it in that I think that yeah, I would have to agree 100% that it's the best looking Atari console of anything that they've done. And so it's just a cool look, I think. And it would be a nice compliment to my fine wood grain telegames 2600. I have to find a spot for it, but it's kind of sleek looking and all that. So we'll make it work there. So I'm going to be a listed.
I'm gonna buy it. I definitely want this. I actually already have a space for it. So not counting the mini consoles, which I have cases for, and they're all kind of packed up, and I'll just be pulling them out as we use them. My big full size old school consoles, I have a shelf system, and they're all hooked up to an HDMI splitter, and everything is labeled, so I can literally just hit which one on the splitter I want to play. I already have a spot for the 7800 plus on there. So I knew I was going to get this. I've already started looking at some indie and homebrew games that I really want to pick up that are high up on my list. And of course, this is backwards compatible with 2600. There's tons of homebrew 2600 games out there.
Yeah, unfortunately, the movie cart will not. We're pretty sure is not going to work
Yeah.
again. But that's a shame. But that's what you
Yeah,
get
and
the beta for.
it's almost 100% compatibility as they keep pointing out. And what that is for the same reason the movie card won't work. It doesn't work with games that have special built-in chips to run that aren't running off of just the hardware itself. So it's the similar thing. Like I have a Hyperkin, which plays cartridges from multiple systems. There's a handful of games it won't play though. So for example, on Sega, it won't play Virtua Racing, which most of the clone consoles won't play because that had a special chipset that was made just for that game. So it doesn't know how to dump the ROM and play it. It's the same thing with this. The movie card's running off of the chipset that's in that cartridge. So whereas this is dumping a ROM and playing it off of a hard drive, it can't do that with it.
And some of you may be wondering, what's this movie cart thing you're talking about? Well, there'll be a link in the description to where we talk about playing full motion video on your Atari 2600. Some of the creations that have been made for that Mike is in possession of, that I'm in possession of. And if that's the kind of content you're interested in, probably ought to subscribe to Bog Panda. Hit the bell, when we're putting new things out there. And you're going to get with that a daily podcast called Hard No. And it's, what is it, Mike? I forget.
I believe it's the world's shortest podcast, sir.
That sounds right. Yeah. So that's like a thing. so, so you probably want to subscribe just for that. And then check out some of the fine merchandise available on Bog Panda. And also check out our website where you can go to Bog Panda Vision and see the various things that have been put together by mostly Mike, but a little bit of me too. But we've got a few options out there for you for online games, for ROMs that you can play on your Game Boy, Slapdash. It's a game, and so you
The
can.
true story of Kelly's life.
There's a good, yeah. So there's that multiple versions of Slapdash, a much more true to life Dr. Mikey game. More to come on that later, but check out Bog Pan Division too because we've got a few games for you. I guess that's our homebrew section, if you will, and
Yeah,
that's it.
I keep saying like indie homebrew developers and stuff. That technically includes us now.
Yeah,
I never think of it that way, but that does technically include us.
yeah. In the tier list, we're not towards the top of that list, but we're on.
We're
I
not.
guess we
I'm
have to
not
be.
saying Slapdash and Xeno Crisis are on the same level.
Yeah, yeah. By the way, got Crisis going on the EverDrive for the Nintendo 64, and that is a really good game.
Yeah, it
So,
is.
so that's another video you can go back and check if you'd like to on that, folks. So there's so many reasons you need to subscribe. Leave us some comments, give us some input and other things you'd like to hear us talk about. We'd love to hear from you, your opinions. Um, Matt. So, anything else, sir?
Yeah, I think that covers it, sir.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bog Panda.